Good afternoon and welcome to SnapTech IT's monthly webinar for September 2025. My name is Ted Holsey. I'm Chief Revenue Officer for SnapTech IT and your co-host for today's event. Thanks for joining in for the live session. This webinar will be recorded and circulated to all registrants. You can always visit us on our YouTube channel to get all of our content on demand. Today's topic is how to integrate ChatGPT to solve productivity problems. I'm joined today by my colleague, Nathan Caldwell. Nathan leads our marketing efforts here at SnapTech. Nathan, great to have you on the call with me.
Super glad to be here, Ted. Can't wait for our fun time together.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we're going to be doing a lot of live demos today. So we did make a small supplication to the demo gods before we got started here. So fingers crossed, but I think you're in for a good session today. Before we kind of hop through the agenda, we do just like to spend 1 to 2 minutes telling you a little about who we are. SnapTech IT, we are a cybersecurity first managed IT provider with operations in Atlanta, Georgia, Phoenix, Arizona, and the San Francisco Bay Area. You know, our point of view is that technology should solve problems, not create them. When clients come to us, they often are suffering from maybe a bad service relationship with their current provider, or their executive team is losing sleep because they don't really feel like they're investing in cybersecurity like they should, or they feel like they're maybe just falling behind, that their technology is not optimized correctly, or their people aren't leveraging all the greatest tech to be productive in their jobs. Our mission is when we bring on a new client, we put in place our proven process. Clients that work with us will have a IT budget, a technology plan, a predictable roadmap of where they're taking their technology, and in turn, their employees will be productive and be able to work anywhere securely. And when things break, and things always break in technology, you can turn to us for fast and friendly IT support. And ultimately, we love to work with clients who ultimately get that peace of mind that they're working with a partner that really invests heavily in cybersecurity and looks after your organization. We serve clients in 2 different ways. If you're smaller and you don't have anybody on your staff who has IT on their badge, you're looking for really what we call a fully managed, fully outsourced IT service relationship. If you're a larger organization and you have an IT person, manager, director, team, but you're suffering because maybe there's too many projects on the back burner or your organization's growing very rapidly, we help organizations like that with co-managed IT, where we partner alongside the existing IT department with an IT outsourcing strategy that is custom and bespoke to your organization. So that's enough about us. In terms of the infomercial, the rest of today is going to be all about ChatGPT for business and how you can start leveraging it in your business. It's a really confusing time right now. I mean, there's a ton of innovation going on, and I think all of the clients and prospective clients we talk to, they're struggling. Like lots of organizations and leaders are struggling how to make the right decisions around AI, how to look around the corner and make sure you're thinking about those data privacy and cybersecurity issues, and how do you really unleash this technology so that your people are turbocharged and highly productive. Because there's a lot of choices, there's a lot of confusion. Our goal today is to try to demystify some of that, but really laser focus on one key area, which is ChatGPT for business, which is the business grade version of ChatGPT. We're going to try to call out where it's similar or different than things like Microsoft Copilot or Google Gemini. But Nathan and I are going to roll up our sleeves and do a lot of live demos. But with that, let me kind of turn things over to Nathan. He's going to set the stage for our conversation, and then we're going to get into today's demos.
Ted, you've already done beautifully well. I feel like we are Steve Martin and Martin Short here, just like a left hand and a right hand working together to clap. And so what we're starting with is, I think you're right, that people are here, they're wondering, how do I really use ChatGPT? And I think that like a little bit of the new car smell has worn off. So it was interesting when AI was coming out and ChatGPT is coming out, and you can just say, write me an email, and then an email pops out, and you say, make it longer, and it gets longer, or write it like a country music star would write one of their songs, and then all of a sudden it's rhyming and you lost your house and your wife and your truck and your dog. And people were amazed by that for a while. But now we're past that. We're past that new car smell, the novelty of it, and we're really wanting to answer the question of how do I actually get it to do real work for me? And so we have seen a trend where a lot of people are going to things like ChatGPT or other AI to ask questions where normally they would have gone to Google and Googled it. Now they're AIing it and they're asking those questions. But we want to even get beyond that because it's neat, it's cool, it's helpful, it gives you more in-depth answers. But a lot of us are wondering, when is it actually going to do work for us? And so that's what we're going to be looking at today, is how to go beyond just Google searching with AI, with ChatGPT. Maybe you're here also because, hey, you are impressed by the new car smell and it's brand new to you and you just want to learn about ChatGPT. Or it could be like Ted was talking about, that you're like, hey, how do we actually put it to work in our business? Which tool do we choose? How do we choose it? Those sorts of things. And so we want to welcome everybody here today to take a look at it. And what we're hopeful for is that what we share with you today, you'll walk away with a better understanding, with some capabilities and some know-how to actually put it to work for you. So let's go over our agenda real quick. First, we're going to have a little bit of an intro to ChatGPT for business. I got a comparison chart coming up so you can see the differences between the free, the paid, and then the team or enterprise version of ChatGPT. So it's ChatGPT for business. How do you actually use it? And then we're going to go straight into demos. Ted's going to kick us off. He's going to roll up his sleeves, fire up his fingertips, and he's going to show us ChatGPT integration with email. He'll show us some file collaboration platforms, then some video conferencing recaps and notes, how to do that. Then he's going to turn it over to me, and I'm going to show you how to create a custom GPT and what exactly that is and why it's powerful, why you might want to use that to your advantage. And I'll have a specific example for it just to show you how involved it can be and how powerful it can be. And then I'll also show you how you could possibly be using ChatGPT plus Canva to create content, whether it's marketing content or presentation content, images, things like that. And of course, we want to turn it over to you for Q&A. That being said, with Q&A, we do have a question box. And if you wouldn't mind, just anytime a question pops up, put it in there. We're going to take turns monitoring as somebody else is presenting, and we'll try to get to your questions throughout the presentation as well. So that being said, let's jump into the ChatGPT choices. So there is a free version out there, and right now we're at the version of ChatGPT that's called GPT-5. And so right now on the free version, you have some basic limited use. Limited use means that features will be held back. It also means that the amount of content you can put into it to try to get an answer out of it. Like if you were to say, hey, I want to load this document and I want it to do some work for me. Well, the amount you can put in is limited, and also the speed at which it returns your answers is limited. And there's a few other limitations there, but we won't get into too many more details. When you pay for the plus version, which is about 20 bucks, it is 20 bucks a month, you have enhanced access. So those limited things that I was telling you about, well, they open up the throttle a little bit. So you're going from a pedal car to now a go-kart, but it's still got the governor on the gas pedal. However, when you go to team and enterprise, and the difference between team and enterprise is the price is a little higher, but also team is designed for use with 2 to 150 users, whereas enterprise is designed for 150 users plus. And so that's the distinction between the names and the pricing models. I believe Team is right around 25 bucks a month per person. So that's kind of the range we're in. It's not as though it goes astronomical. But then let's take a look at the actual differences here. So if you're going down, I want to call out, of course, it's real easy to read this chart, but I want to show you the data privacy thing. That's one of the big deals about the differences between the versions. And so with the free version, they're going to use your input. So anything you put in there, if you're putting in documents from your business to get some answers or to do some work with ChatGPT, they're going to use that info to train their models, to train ChatGPT 5 or 6 or whatever. And so if you have sensitive data, you don't want to be putting it out there in the free version. Next up, the plus version, well, you can hold back your data, but it's a manual opt-out. And so a lot of people aren't aware of that, and they're just they're thinking, well, I'm paying for it, it's plus, and so it is secure. It's not. You got to watch out for that. Make sure your settings are set correctly. Otherwise, under Team and then Enterprise, though, you do get the privacy. And so your company data and your conversations are not used for the model training. So this is the version, this is why we're talking about it for business, because we're a security first MSP. And so the big deal is to make sure that you are keeping your data secure. And so we don't want you just putting it out there in the free version or the plus version and accidentally having it go out there into the world. Keep it secure. This is something, Ted, I know that you've highlighted this before. This is when, for quite a while, a number of months, maybe even a year, Copilot was leading when it came to businesses because they had the reputation of your data is secure and you can use Copilot. Well, now ChatGPT does have this capability. And so it's very important that you understand that if you are considering like, well, we aren't really fans of Copilot, or we love ChatGPT, so we want to use that, this is where you go. Other than that, quick comment about performance. Obviously, the higher you go, the faster it goes, and you get, again, more capability to input greater data. And so in a lot of user experience, a lot of people talk about how with even the plus version, when they're trying to input documents and get feedback on it, takes a brutally long time. However, when you go into Team or Enterprise, that it can be quite a bit faster and it can handle a larger document or a larger amount of information. So that's a little bit about that. The additional thing is to highlight under Team and Enterprise, you can collaborate, you can share workspace. And so Ted and I are going to show you a couple examples of that in our demos. We'll highlight it, we'll draw your attention to it quickly to say, hey, this is what we were talking about, how you can share it, how you can collaborate. And so we'll do that in our demos. Ted, anything to add when we're talking about the choices there?
I don't think so. Just know that, yeah, I mean, I think almost all of the major players in the market kind of have this idea of that there's, in that middle column is kind of maybe what you call kind of like the prosumer or the professional type plan. Copilot, Microsoft Copilot has something similar, where you don't get all of the business grade features and capabilities. And then, of course, when you start getting into a business setting, it's never about just, an individual being productive with the tool. It's about collaborating, and it's about working in a team environment where you've got shared content or you've got resources that multiple people might want to use because you're in a department together. And so, for the business setting, you really want to be thinking about, ChatGPT for Team or Enterprise as kind of the potential solution you should consider if you're thinking about maybe a company-wide deployment for your organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And one final little tidbit there, we're on ChatGPT 5, so that's what we were talking about. We weren't going back in time and looking at ChatGPT 4, even though those versions are still available, and some may have personal preference over which version they use, but we were just highlighting what the most recent version is there. So now to the demo.
Now to the live demos. Okay, so I think I'm up first.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, great. And so again, just want to encourage everybody, you know, do use the Q&A log as a resource as we're going. We'll try to go at the right you know, pace and make sure we don't you know, kind of lose anybody, but do ask questions. So so I'm going to be looking at three things. I'm going to be looking at how ChatGPT can be integrated with common email platforms. We're going to be looking at how ChatGPT can be integrated with file collaboration platforms, things like Dropbox or Box or SharePoint. And then we're also going to look at how potentially, you know, video conferencing platforms can be integrated with the ChatGPT. Video conferencing, I mean, we spend a lot of time talking about Copilot. We use Copilot internally. We've got clients that are in love with Copilot. We have clients that are in love with ChatGPT. Our goal, our mission in life is to guide our clients on their technology decisions and make sure they're secure. So we have to be experts in all of the above. And, you know, there's some amazing things. I mean, I think when you think about Microsoft Copilot, the advantage that Microsoft really has in the ecosystem is Microsoft is the largest software company in the world. And they, you know, most American business people, when you're working throughout the day, are working in a Microsoft software tool. Microsoft Word, Outlook, Excel, PowerPoint. Now, some companies are Google shops, you know, so you're using Google Workspace. You know, some organizations might use the Microsoft suite, but they might use a different third-party collaboration platform like Dropbox or Box because they just think it's a better experience in OneDrive and SharePoint. You have other organizations that are like, we hate Microsoft, you know, like we're not going to use anything Microsoft related. So it's all over the map. But I think what you can say is that Microsoft has done an amazing job with Copilot in bringing the AI capability right into the applications that their customers use every day. So if it's crafting an email, you're in Outlook, you can invoke Copilot, have it create an email for you on the fly. If you're in Word, you can quickly, you know, suck in additional documents from your OneDrive folder and have it, you know, create a new document for you in Word. Same goes for PowerPoint. When you're in Microsoft Teams doing a video conference, you just simply hit the record button and then bang, if you have a Copilot subscription, you get a nice recap of the meeting, you get meeting transcripts, you get meeting chapters, you get all of that. So Microsoft has done an amazing job with Copilot. What we want to focus on today is there's lots of people who kind of feel like, this is the feedback we hear. There's lots of people who say like, hey, I just like the content ChatGPT gives me back. Like when I ask it to create something for me, it's better. But then what they find is that you're like copying and pasting, toggling back and forth between this browser interface you see in front of you and maybe their email client, or back and forth between this browser interface and their word processing application. And that's the big challenge, right, for ChatGPT as a solution for business users. And ChatGPT for Team is a very compelling way to solve a lot of those switching problems, that context switching problems, which is really the friction that gets created that really drives down people's productivity. So what we want to show today is Nathan and I are going to be working in a ChatGPT for Team environment. And let me just kind of show you how you know where you are. So just one of the most important features of ChatGPT for Team is the integrations that are out of the box available to be used. And so I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click on Settings, and then I'm going to click on Connectors. And I think they, at some point, just very recently, they changed the name from Integrations to Connectors. But what you see here is that and I'm really like, I'm in here getting ready to start my demo, and I'm wondering why my SharePoint is no longer connected. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to connect it just in case just in case I need to. It was previously connected. So, but anyway, what I was showing there is that because I'm in ChatGPT for Team, there's a library of built-in integrations or connectors that you can enable, and I'm just going to make sure that my SharePoint is connected here. And we're
And just to
gonna
highlight an additional thing for those who are like uber techie, the one feature that is available in enterprise that goes above just this automatic connector piece is actually APIs, where you could get the ChatGPT connected to another program that you're interested in.
Okay. And I'm just gonna go in here, but in any event, if we kind of go back to the settings real quick, so we go settings and we look at the connectors, you'll see this library of different connectors: Box, Canva, Dropbox. Many of the applications that are super popular from the SaaS ecosystem: Gmail, Google Calendar, HubSpot, Outlook Calendar, Teams, and so on and so forth. And so now what we see here is I've got my ChatGPT for Team connected to Google Drive, Outlook email, and SharePoint. And now what I want to do is just to do a couple demos for you. And the first one is I'm going to focus on email. So just for a little bit of context, demoing real technology is always a little bit challenging because you don't want to use necessarily a production environment. But you also, if you have a demo environment, it's usually not that interesting because it doesn't have any real data. I'm doing something slightly hybrid. Is I have a consulting company I own on the side, but the company's kind of dormant. I was very involved with it 3 or 4 years ago, and but I still have all the software up and running, and I have that's what I'm connecting to. So I'm connecting to a real Outlook account, and I'm connecting to a real SharePoint site. And I'm going to just show you some things that you can do with a real environment. And I have my little prompt library over here, which is just going to speed things up. So the first thing is okay. Well, why would you connect ChatGPT to your Outlook? Well, I mean, finding stuff is like a huge problem, right? Day to day. These tools are surprisingly valuable in and of their own right in just helping you find things. Now, you could always go into your email client and search for a particular email you're looking for or a particular file attachment. That's pretty easy to do. But when you connect your email to one of these AI solutions like Google Gemini, like Copilot, or like ChatGPT, you want it to do more than just find something for you. You want it to answer questions for you. So I'm just going to do a couple little examples of that. And so the first question I'm just going to ask it is, how much am I paying for my Microsoft 365 E3 subscription? So I'm just going to paste that in, and ChatGPT is connected to my email box, and let's just see how it finds the answer. So what it's doing is when you connect it, ChatGPT has basically ingested all of your email and integrated it. And so here it's saying, hey, I don't know exactly how much you're paying for it because it's not detailed in the actual email, but it very quickly gets you right to the email in question and says, well, hey, here's your invoice. I'm sure if you just double click on the invoice, you can go ahead and see what it's going to cost, what it's costing you. So let's have it find that email real quick. Come on. All right.
You're just paying so much. The invoice is gigantic.
Well, so anyway,
and all those zeros.
Wonder why that. Wonder what went wrong there. Let's try that again. Okay, that's probably more Microsoft's fault, but let's try that one more time. Here, let's just try this one here. Let's try that again. So it's basically taking me right to the email in question. Okay, and so here's so it takes me to Outlook over the web, and then it found the particular invoice attachment, and then there's my invoice. So $32.20 a month is what I'm paying for my E3 license from Microsoft. Okay, so that was pretty trivial. That was pretty simple. But the important thing is it answered a question. It answered a question rather than just helping me find a particular email. Let's try another one. I'm just going to do a new chat here, and I'm going to put in when is my renewal for my Copilot license? So very similar. I mean, kind of a similar sort of question. And again, ChatGPT is going to go look in my Outlook and comb through all of the, thousands of emails that are in there, and come back with an answer.
Well, and right away, you're demonstrating the power of this, because in the olden days, when we had to just search for it, you would have to search multiple different terminologies and try to get the exact wording in order to find that email, right? So you'd have to put like Copilot license renewal, and no results. Okay, well, is it just Copilot renewal? Try that. And so this is very helpful because it can get into intent. It can figure out like, all right, maybe you aren't being specific on those words, but the general idea, let me bring back stuff that would be recommended as helpful.
Yeah,
oh, sorry, go
okay,
ahead.
Go ahead. Was there a question?
Yeah, so David, he has a great question. Can you show how to use ChatGPT to review emails in an inbox and summarize a to-do list? For example, it'd be great to scan through a day, a week, or a month's worth of emails to make sure that no requests were missed, unfilled, or incomplete. It would be helpful for those that get over 100 emails per day with multiple threads spawning. So,
yeah,
David, I feel for you, man.
Let me comment. I mean, let me comment on that. Like, we don't have that teed up as a demo, and I think one thing is that you sometimes find is that this technology, like, there's sometimes the amount of data it needs to ingest and comb through it, that might take a minute or two. Like on this particular demo, like for whatever reason, it should have only been looking in Outlook, and for some reason it also went through my SharePoint to kind of try to find the answer on this particular question. I've done the demo a couple times testing this to get ready for today, so I know the answer is in my Outlook inbox, so I don't know why it went combing through SharePoint. These are some of the vagaries and buggy things that you're going to come across in the AI world. But to your specific question, yeah, that's definitely a use case. Is you could say, hey, show me all the emails from John Smith, and are there any outstanding action items? And it's going to go look through the messages from John Smith and then give you a response. So, but if we just go back to this really quick example, it says it looks like your Microsoft Copilot license renews on January 29th. So it's going to be up for renewal on January 29th, 2026. So it gave me the answer. If I wanted to drill into the actual invoice, it's here, and so on and so forth. So let's do a different example. So, to the gentleman who just asked that one question, here's something that is something similar to what you just asked, but in this case, I'm going to say, write an email to Allison Monahan about refreshing the ideal client presentation and analysis we did 3 years ago. So here I'm asking ChatGPT to go into my email, understand the context in the emails I've exchanged with Allison Monahan, understand the context about that project we worked on 3 years ago where we refined the ideal client profile, and I'm going to pitch her on doing a refreshed version or analysis of that. So let's see so this is more an example of seeing how ChatGPT can use your email repository and help you write a message that is, has all the context, but gives you, something that you can actually go and use very quickly.
Well, it's the second step to David's question. Like him getting the feedback of here's your long to-do list, and number one is refresh this ICP.
Yeah.
Well, you can ask it like, hey, okay, study all the emails, study the context, pick up where we left off, and craft it from there.
Yeah, and so this one, it's getting the context. It knows that we worked on this together 3 years ago. Um, it's saying, hey, we should probably revisit these following topics. Let's grab a 30-minute meeting. And so, here's just, the value of integrating your email with an AI solution. With Copilot, it's kind of integrated into the Outlook interface. Here, we've now connected Outlook, we've connected ChatGPT, and then you can have it quickly create messages or go searching through your inbox to find particular messages or to-dos or things that might be late or things that are falling through the cracks or things you need rapidly summarized, okay? So ChatGPT for team, connected to Outlook. Let's keep moving. The next one is I want to talk about file collaboration platforms. So there's lots of file collaboration platforms out there. In the Microsoft suite, you have OneDrive and SharePoint, which is kind of the one-two punch from the Microsoft suite. OneDrive being like your personal files, and then SharePoint being all the stuff you work on with other people and teams. Here we have a SharePoint site with real content and then a couple folders that I created just for this demo. And again, we've connected SharePoint to ChatGPT for team, and now we're going to do some demos of how you can leverage ChatGPT to analyze content that's in these folders. So what I want to do is I'm going to drill in over here, and I'm going to look at, I've got this folder called partner programs, and these are all like the technology vendors that are, SnapTech works with, and my consulting company works with, but there's one that's just this one company. It's called Huntress, and I have this presentation that Huntress gave me a couple of years ago, which was all about why Huntress is so great. And so this is a PowerPoint in here that's like the Huntress sales pitch. Huntress is a cybersecurity vendor. Where they really thrive is they do what's kind of called threat hunting. So if you want a solution that's more powerful than just a endpoint security antivirus solution that runs on your machine, but you actually want some human beings looking at what's happening in your technology to provide an extra layer of defense, you would add Huntress to your cybersecurity stack. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just showing you this presentation and show you how ChatGPT is able to go into my SharePoint folder, read this file, understand the key messages from it, and it's going to be able to create a piece of content for me. So I'm going to go ahead and close that, and then I'm going to go over here to my spreadsheet and grab my prompt, and I'm going to copy this prompt, and I'm going to go over here to ChatGPT, and I'm going to say, based on the Huntress presentation in my SharePoint, write an email explaining why Huntress's threat hunting service is better than traditional AV or EDR solutions.
Now, so before you hit send, I wanted to highlight too, notice that Ted wrote the term SharePoint there. That's very important, and it highlighted in blue. That means that it is picking up on that connection that Ted showed right early on. They showed that those solutions were connected, so it's working. That's
yeah. I mean, it's more, yeah. And I think maybe said a different way, it's that the more and more apps you connect to ChatGPT, your prompt is going to be more precise if you tell it where you think the most relevant content is. Mm-hmm. And what's cool about this is that ChatGPT has created this email, and it gives me little footnotes to say, hey, this is where I got this piece of information. And so you get this email, why Huntress is a smarter choice than AV or EDR alone. Great subject line. I wanted to share why Huntress's threat hunting service provides a critical layer of security that traditional antivirus and endpoint detection response simply as tools can't match. Bang, great. And then, it gives kind of a longer explanation, and it gives some good bullets, and it's showing me that it's referencing right from the PowerPoint, gives me a bottom line. Like, this is a really compelling email. Now, this is kind of a weird use case. I mean, what you would commonly be doing is you would have your own library of selling tools, for example, if you're a sales or marketing person at a company, and you can then use ChatGPT to quickly craft an email where you're going to maybe then attach this presentation, to that email. But this is, again, creating content from scratch, from your files, and we could just go on and on and on doing this around the wide range of content that's actually in this SharePoint environment, right? So I could just pick another one of these folders or files and do the same sort of thing. So file collaboration with with your ChatGPT. I want to show one more example on the file collaboration front. And so this one is a little bit different. So in this case, we've got like a case study folder. And what I'm showing here is kind of a marketing use case. So, if you've ever have somebody on your team who needs to do like a client case study, the hardest part about doing a client case study is actually writing the case study. You interview the client, you have a transcript of your conversation, and then you need to actually write the case study. And the hard part is pulling out from a 25-page transcript of the interview, like the nuggets you need to actually put in the case study. What I'm doing here is I've got this transcript with a SnapTech client, Daphne Seymour, and this is the transcript of the interview I did with her. So it's raw text format, 25 pages long. And then I have other case studies, SnapTech case studies that actually are all in a standard format. It's 2 pages. First page is like, what's the problem? What's SnapTech's role? Page 2 is the solution and the business results, etc. And so I want ChatGPT to write the case study for me, but I want to give it a template, which is our existing library of case studies, and then give it a piece of raw content and see what it can do. So I'm going to take this prompt and I'm going to paste it in here. And it says, write a case study based on the Daphne Seymour interview transcript and the following finished case studies, which can serve as templates for the layout and structure of the case study, Zion and ERG Aerospace. All the files are in the case study folder on SharePoint. Follow the length and format of the Zion and ERG case studies. For example, providing a summary and our role sections, match the overall length and word count of the templates. And I'm going to hit create. And I've kind of told ChatGPT where to look. And so hopefully it's relatively rapid here for our demo. The transcript, so it kind of got a little hiccup, right? It says, where's the transcript? And I'm just going to tell it the transcript is in the case study folder. Let's hopefully that clears up any confusion for ChatGPT on where to look.
Well, let's also be a little bit patient with ChatGPT, because how many humans do we work with that they're like, which folder is that in? And you're like, hey, I told you a few times.
Well, I mean, look, the reality is part of prompt engineering is the pushing and pulling.
Sure.
Pushing and pulling. And so, but after a little bit of pushing and pulling, here's our result: is we end up with this almost formatted piece that has the exact format. So TerraCorp is the company where Daphne Seymour works. We have the summary, we have the role, we have the challenge, we have the solution, and this follows the exact template of our other case studies. And this is the hard part about creating a marketing piece, is synthesizing the raw content into your templated format and giving you back a really compelling piece. So to me, this is like magic as a marketer who's been doing this for 20 years. Like, this sort of stuff is where you save literally dozens of hours in a given month. You can do the similar sort of thing over in Copilot, but with ChatGPT integrated with your file repository, I just showed you how to do a quick case study based upon raw content in your templates. Let's move to my last example before I hand the ball over to Nathan. One of the coolest things that Microsoft does with Copilot and Teams is just out of the box, like the ability to record a meeting in Microsoft Teams, have a transcript of that meeting, and then have, just within minutes of the meeting ending, have like a really compelling recap of that meeting that has all of the key bullets about what was discussed, who said what, along with action items. That's like super, I mean, it literally transforms how companies do meetings inside. It's so compelling. You can do the same thing in your organization. You may be using Zoom and ChatGPT, and you don't like Microsoft. Well, you can do the exact same thing. It does require a little bit of connecting of a couple different applications. And so in this case, what we're using is a tool called Zapier, which is one of the SaaS automation tools that's out there on the marketplace today. And so what I've done is I recorded a couple days ago a video. I usually use Teams, but I use Zoom in the regular customer success meeting with my customer success rep from HubSpot. I use Zoom, and then what I did is I connected my Zoom cloud repository of recordings and transcripts to my SharePoint environment. So over here in my SharePoint environment, I've got a folder of my Zoom recordings and transcripts that automatically get uploaded from the Zoom cloud environment anytime I complete a meeting. And then what I want to show you is that you can use ChatGPT to quickly summarize your meetings and get the same sort of capabilities around meeting minutes and action items and that sort of thing. So I'm just going to drop the prompt in here, summarize the HubSpot and SnapTech customer success call in SharePoint. And I'm going to go, again, I kind of told it where to go. And let's see if, ChatGPT has any trouble finding the document in question. But here it goes. It's a meeting context. The participants, Ted Holsey and Shania Powell, exploring HubSpot's AI-powered tools, ensuring SnapTech is fully leveraging its subscription and understanding upcoming functionality. And then these are all the things. This is like a to-do on my plate, to send this to Nathan and my boss and a handful of other people on the team, because there were some awesome pieces of information that were conveyed in this meeting that we need to go take action on. And again, all I need to do is then go down here and go copy, and then hop over to my email, paste it in, and boom, I'm able to share this important information about this meeting I just had with our HubSpot rep. So that's it. 3 demos: Outlook, file collaboration platform, in this case SharePoint, and how you can use ChatGPT with Zoom to get transcripts and action items and meeting recaps. Nathan, let me turn it over to you to pivot the conversation.
Let me give you a round of applause for conducting these demos, and also ChatGPT. Good job. Yesterday, when Ted and I were going through his demos, ChatGPT was like, I'm thinking. And we were like, I don't think you are.
Today was a little faster. So anyway, it's always a little dangerous doing live demos, but hopefully that opened everybody's eyes on some cool things that you can do.
All right, marvelous. So I am going to share my screen. I believe you are seeing my screen now, correct?
I am.
You're seeing ChatGPT? All right,
I am.
So my first demo is to talk about creating a custom GPT. And now a custom GPT, what we're looking at right here with ChatGPT is the general access called ChatGPT 5. And you can ask anything. And then it's going to research multiple sources and try to come back to you with the best answer. Now, the benefit and the cool thing about creating your own custom GPT is to limit it down. So instead of being like an inch deep and 500 million miles wide, like ChatGPT 5 is right now, where you could ask it anything, we're going to make it 1 inch wide. That's more than an inch. I'm Canadian, so what's an inch, Ted? 1 inch is about like that. Okay, so 1 inch wide, but like a million miles deep. So creating a custom GPT limits the information that you want it to collect and use, so you can eliminate things like hallucinations. Do we all know what hallucinations are? It's where it comes up with stuff, where it finds a source that isn't necessarily truthful, but because there's a lot of attention on it, it thinks it's truthful. A great example of this is a humorous post on Reddit that gets a ton of upvotes. ChatGPT might come back and say, hey, I found this useful piece of information. You're like, that's not useful, like you aren't getting sarcasm. So limiting it for the amount of information that it collects, or the source of information it collects, but then also limiting what you want it to output. which is super important because then you're getting to done more accurately and faster instead of having to cycle through. Nope, change this. No, ChatGPT, like, what are you thinking? So let me show you how you can do that. So we are in ChatGPT team, and I want to highlight that because you can do the custom GPTs. And so really quickly, you'd go over here to GPTs, and then you would click on either My GPTs if you've already created them, or you would hit Create. And you can also go through and select some prompts that it's giving you if you aren't sure where to go. So I want to, though, I already created one, and for sake of time, I did a few screenshots so I could kind of jump through the points a little quicker, because when you are creating a custom GPT, it will prompt you with a lot of questions because it wants to make sure it's getting you what you want. It wants to build the tool in a way that will get you what you want. And so this is like building your own app to conduct a skill that you want completed or a task you want completed so that you can go to it and get help from it. And so let's take a look. Here we're creating a custom GPT, and I decided that I wanted to create one to help me with crafting blogs, but not just that. I also want it to help me with research, and I want it to help me with a to-do list on SEO settings, so I don't have to recreate the wheel every time I'm trying to publish a blog. And so I gave it some initial instructions. From here, I told it where I wanted it to study. I wanted it to study the SnapTech IT website to get expertise, to get positioning. I want it to take a look at previous blogs we published to gain voice. I wanted it to see our company core values so that it could create a mission or a tone with the blogs, because I don't want it to be all salesy and pushy. That's not us. And then I also want it to know who the audience is so it speaks clearly to them. And you can see I threw the company core values in there as well, specifically. Additionally, I wanted to make it do work for me. I didn't want it to just be an interesting search thing, or like we talked about at the beginning of the webinar, that new car smell, where I asked it to produce a blog and it kind of produced a blog, but it was like, kind of fell flat on the content. So I told it to make sure every time you're doing a Google search and you're following all of those, you know how when you do a Google search, it comes up with like other questions people ask? I said, use those as headings in the blog too, so that it gets to the curiosity of our searchers, our readers. And then I also wanted it to do a blog settings checklist, because you have to put in a lot fill in the blanks to get that blog posted. It's not just about intro, 3 paragraphs, conclusion, and that's all you have to do for a blog. Also, I wanted to make sure that each time somebody came to this GPT, that the GPT would ask the person, hey, how many words do you want this to be? Are there any new or specific keywords you want to use? How about, is there a title you want to use, or do you want me to do that? Are there additional content questions besides the Google questions people would ask? Is there a specific call to action? And so then what it does next, after you get all of those elements in, it's going to show you, hey, this is what I've done. Here's a draft of what I'm going to create for you. If that looks good, move on. Boom. They create it. Look at that. And then you get to name it. You get to brand it. Now, I'm a big superhero fan, so I wanted it to, have kind of a superhero logo to it. I wanted it to be a little more blue, to be, in line with SnapTech IT. Now, this is not the approved branding of SnapTech IT, but it's an internal tool anyway, so we're just going to be using it. We don't have, well, actually, we're showing it on the webinar, so maybe I should have gone with official branding. But here we go. I wanted to also give it some final thoughts. I said, oh, you know what I can't stand is when any blog starts with, in today's digital landscape, or in today's fast-paced digital world, in today's digital first world, like, no one talks like that. Like, Ted, I mean, sometimes when I come to you with a question, you kick it off by saying, in today's fast-paced digital world, and I'm like, ah, quit talking
Well,
down to
that's
me.
not how I write. That's just how I speak. Come on.
So then it'll ask you to do a test run. And so I gave it a topic, how businesses can identify and protect themselves from AI-powered social engineering and AI-powered hackers. Well, the blogging booster, I named it SnapTech IT blogging booster. It asked me, hey, before I draft, what word length do you want? Are there additional specific keywords? It asked me all those questions. I quickly answered them. Question number one, I want it to be 650 words, et cetera, et cetera. So it did the blog. Boom, here it is. The blog is written. It's looking pretty good. Additionally, it created my SEO to-do package. So it has the excerpt I need to fill in the box. It has the SEO title. It has the meta description, key phrase synonyms. So I don't have to put a ton of mental energy and decision making into each one of those boxes I have to fill out. All right, so that's a little bit about that.
Yeah, just a comment on that. I mean, if you don't blog as a part of your job, you probably don't realize how amazing this is. But if you've ever had to be the person who goes and posts a blog to your WordPress site, this is a ton of work gathering all this information and having the tool help you write the blog so it's on message, on theme, on voice, and then give you all of these little tidbits that you actually need to fill in properly. This is a godsend in terms of productivity improvements.
Yeah, totally. And then if you needed to go back to it and change up some stuff, you aren't doing it blindly. You aren't just throwing like a wish into like, hey, can you please change this about my custom GPT? If you hit that configure button, it will then allow you to see how everything is broken down. You can go in and edit so that you get much closer to nuance and accuracy for the specific thing that you're wanting to change. So that's a little bit real quick to show you creating a custom GPT. I have one other quick little demo to show you, which is another integration. And so I'll start back to what Ted had shown you before. If you go down to your username and you click on it, and again, this is in the team version, and you go up to settings and you go to connectors, you can see that you can connect Canva. And so when Canva is connected, and that's where I create some impromptu graphics when I need to move fast and we aren't hiring a graphic designer. And so I'm going to show you real quick. This is my Canva home of a bunch of graphics that I've been working on and creating. You can see some ads for some in-person events we've done, some previous edits to some webinar ads that we've done. And so I want to show you an example of how I use this integration recently. So I loaded an image from this month's webinar, how to integrate ChatGPT to solve productivity problems. And I wanted it to reference that. And then I said, create a promotional image in Canva for October webinar, which is coming up. I said the host will be Ted Halsey, include Ted's headshot image. The date of the webinar is going to be October 23rd at 2 p.m., which, by the way, all of you attending right now, you're all personally invited. Come back to our October webinar. And then I gave it the title. I wanted the Microsoft Copilot logo, all of those things. So ChatGPT goes out and says, hey, I found some of your Canva designs. Here's a couple examples. Well, let's take a look at this one. Okay, what did it do? Oh, look at that handsome devil right there. It did find one with Ted. And so it used that as an example. And then it did something I didn't like, though. It just said, hey, here's what you can do to do the work. And I said, no. Create a new image for me. So it built a brand new image, okay, and it laid it out, said how it was going to be. And then look at the image, okay, October webinar, correct? Microsoft Copilot, wrong logo there. So there's a little bit off. Title, what's new with Microsoft Copilot? Killer new features and capabilities. Great. And then look, Ted Halsey, you're right there, buddy. Is that you?
It's not.
It's
Anyway,
not you. No.
it's somebody. But it's not me. So it's not perfect,
No,
right?
well,
The robots are not going to take over anytime soon.
Yeah, so I grabbed it, I loaded it back into Canva. Okay, so I just did grabbed a size and then I loaded it in. And you know what I could do? I already had the Microsoft Copilot logo there. I just dropped it in and resized it to fix that. I went and grabbed Ted's real photo and just shrunk it down and cropped it, put it in there, and now I actually have a usable image, and I only had to do a couple of steps. Ask ChatGPT to do it, then throw in the Microsoft Copilot logo, the correct one, and throw Ted's real image. I didn't have to type October webinar. I didn't have to type what's new with Copilot, change the font, change the size, is this centered, is this aligned? None of that created. And so it's a time saver. It's not perfect, but it's a definite time saver.
Yeah, and I would just say that all the time that so many of these AI tools, they'll get you to 80%, but they'll get you to 80% on any sort of project in either 1/10 or 1/20th of the time it would have taken you to get to 80% previously. So it's very rare that you ask ChatGPT or Copilot to do something for you, and it does 100% of the work for you, and you just are completely hands off. It's not called autopilot, it's called Copilot. You still need a smart human being at the controls who knows the artistry, knows how to finish something up and make it on point. But it's all about massive productivity improvements from this technology for anybody who has to create stuff. So hopefully today, was eye-opening for you. Hopefully you learned some of the tips and tricks on how to integrate ChatGPT for team and enterprise with your existing apps. We thank you for coming. Before we wrap up, I just want to tell you about a couple other things that are happening over in our world. If you are in the San Francisco Bay Area or Phoenix, Arizona, or Atlanta, Georgia, we're going to be hosting our October Lunch and Learns. We're doing How I Would Hack You with AI Deepfakes. And we're having Chuck Wiley, our Director of Security, give a special session live in Palo Alto, California, Scottsdale, Arizona, and Alpharetta, Georgia. If you have your phone, go ahead and click that QR code and you can register. You can also go to the events section on the SnapTech website. We have one more Copilot workshop we're doing in the month of September next week in Phoenix, Arizona. I think we have one spot left. It's a 12-person class. We've got one spot left. So again,
2 spots. We got
what's
two
that?
spots. We have
with
two
spots.
spots.
It's by invitation only, so please email Nathan Caldwell right there if you're interested in a hands-on Copilot workshop spot. And then if you want to spend time with the experts from SnapTech IT to talk about your IT operations or cybersecurity or AI strategy, go ahead and book a in-person meeting with us, and we'll sit down together to go one-on-one with you. And then, as Nathan mentioned, we're going to be doing a focus session on all the cool new features that have come out in Microsoft Copilot in the past 3 to 6 months. Killer new features and capabilities, really a ton of awesome new things in Copilot. That's next month's session. With that, Nathan, thank you so much for joining me today. This was a fantastic session, great demos, and we look forward to seeing everybody on a future webinar. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Great being with you, Ted. Thanks, everybody.